Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Mirror Dungeon solo video. Today we'll be using the man with the most potential, Sunshower Heathcliff. Being one of only two negative coin identities, he plays vastly different to everyone else. By nature of being a negative coin identity, he's incredibly averse to clashing as it would result in him gaining sanity back, but unlike his big brother Claire, Sunshower is not good at clashing in the slightest. If he is ever above neutral sanity, the likelihood of him winning a clash is incredibly low. This, coupled with a few other factors that I'll mention in a moment, give him a very unique playstyle. He is the single most selfish identity in the game, and by that I mean he literally does not care about anything going on around him. You can put him on any team, in any fight, and he will completely ignore everything that's happening and just do his own thing. The main reason he plays like this is because, first off, he's a negative coin identity, but more importantly, it's his passive. Rain of Tears will cause him to lose sanity based off how much sinking potency he has at the start of the turn, and will also give him up to 5 protection based off of his sinking stack before he takes a hit. This passive is one of the strongest passives in the entire game, as it essentially gives him a permanent 50% damage reduction at all times. Now, it doesn't do that on its own, but his counter skill when used will give him enough sinking in order to gain that 5 protection. The only downside is that the first attack he takes will be full damage, but every single attack after will be reduced. The best way to play him is to one-sided attack as much as possible, and if you ever can't, just use the counter. He's got a lot of other random stuff going on in his kit, like sinking, rupture, tremor burst, but honestly none of it matters. He doesn't support anyone or anything except for himself, and if you try to use him in any other way, he will not be very good. Starting the run off, we take Red Order and Melted Spring for our starting gifts and head into Noggle and Hammer for the first floor. This floor is the most difficult of all potential first floors because N-Corp does not pull any punches. Even Sunshower struggles here as he has access to no healing, and with it being on the first floor, we don't have any ego resource gifts to supplement us. The boss is against Guido, and while we absolutely have the potential to beat him, the sheer amount of bleed they keep inflicting on us is too much most of the time. The only way out that I could possibly see is to get enough skill 3s to end up forcing corrosion, but that takes multiple turns and we typically end up with a massive bleed stack by the time we could pull it off. At the very least, we get to show off Dante's new ability, Superbia, which gives you 1 free ego use per day. This is pretty much the one and only time I would say is a good use for it, when you don't have enough ego resources to actually use any ego and you're up against a difficult encounter that could be easily trivialized by a single use. We take Headless Portrait for our reward and head into the Unconfronting for the next floor. Here we buy Deathseeker and Lithograph while also finding Eclipse of Scarlet Moths before making it to the boss against Cromer. Cromer is a pretty simple fight as long as you have enough resources to force corrosion on the third turn. By nature of being a negative coin identity though, it just makes it all the easier as we want to be at low sanity. We corrode into King and Binds, which is honestly an amazing ego for Sunshower. On top of it being just a generally powerful ego, it also provides a bunch of attack power-up as well as transforming all of his attacks into AoE. The reason why this works so well with Sunshower is because he's a negative coin identity, the potential damage he can do with the AoE is much higher as he can roll multiple high numbers instead of just a few. That's not very relevant for the Cromer fight though, as she only has one part when this happens, but it's still good to know nonetheless. We can easily knock Cromer into her second phase and proceed to do what Sunshower does best. Completely ignore everything that's happening and hit her until she dies.
승객이 딱콩 한 번 먹였어. 완벽한 선택이었어, 나리! 약점이 뻔히 보이는 게로군.
We take the Material Interference Force Field for our reward and head into Crawling Abyss for the next floor. Here we fuse Broken Compass before making it to the boss against the Skin Prophet. This is the first fight of the run where I get to show off the true potential this man has. Many other identities have alternate forms. Wild Hunt has Dullahan, Philip Sinclair has his ego, and of course the Blood Fiends have their Blood Feast. But Sunshower Heathcliff is the one and only identity who, much like an actual boss, has a second phase. Up until this point we've only bear witness to his first phase, with only a hint as to what his second might be. After about 3 to 4 turns of him being mostly unkillable thanks to his protection, he will have enough skill 3s in order to gain around 20 sinking and a whole lot of count. This is enough sinking to essentially guarantee he will corrode every other turn, truly unlocking his full potential. This also makes him technically the first identity to have an anti-stagger mechanic, as the turn he corrodes he cannot be staggered. Being one of the only identities who can consistently use egos without the need to actually fuel them easily makes him one of the strongest identities in the game.
약점을 잘 노리셨습니다. 이제 해결사의 정체에 익숙해지십니다. 어떤 상황이
신경에서 알려준 대로 잘했어. 역시 상담 프로그램을 진행하는 건 잘하는 거야. 대성공이야. 다른 신나. 노래 부를까? 저한테 책이 큰 소리 준것 같아. 쨍그라. 보이가 조각났어. 계속해도 돼.
We take skeletal crumbs for our reward and head into Certain World for the next floor. Here we buy Grey Coat, Blue Zippo Lighter, Temporal Brittle, and an extra skill 3, whilst also fusing Artistic Sense and Rags. For the boss, we're up against Nelly, who's not really that threatening. The biggest danger she possesses is the sheer amount of attacks she can use in a single turn, but thanks to the protection and being a relatively tanky identity, she can never do any real damage. The one thing she can do, however, is prevent us from unleashing our true potential. She can do this through the power of Bind. To be able to activate our second phase, we obviously need to build a sinking stack on ourselves, but on the third turn, when Nelly uses her Insta-Stagger skill, we are locked to 1 speed. This allows her to move before us no matter what, and as a result, we can't build a sinking stack before she staggers us. That's technically not true. We can build a stack, but it requires us to clash with her, and the sanity gained by clashing is enough to prevent the corrosion. Fortunately for us, when she staggers us, she's also at incredibly low sanity, and despite the fact we don't have any protection, her inability to roll heads allows us to survive and do what Sunshower does best.
떨어지는 꼴좀
관리법을 적어둬야.
찌르게 패주지.
승객이 딱 콩 한 번 먹였어. 칼날이 잘 드네요. 아마 그 공격이 약점이었겠죠?
기분이 받으시면 되고 기억.
찌르게 패주지. 너도 걸럭적이 될 걸걸.
We take Distant Star for our reward and head into Time Killing Time for the final floor. Here we find Midwinter Nightmare before making it to the final boss against the Time Ripper. The scariest thing this man possesses is the amount of bleed he can inflict. It is one of the few things that can bypass our protection, but both Feng Hunt Honglu's support passive, and simply getting a little lucky with our few clashes, is more than enough to render it mostly a non-issue. After surviving the first few turns thanks to a little luck, we can both enter our second phases at the same time. Our second phase is significantly more powerful than his, as the longer a fight goes on, the stronger we become, whereas he quickly starts to run out of time. We lose a few clashes here and there, but ultimately it's a good thing as every single hit we take only serves to make us more powerful.
상황이 닥쳐도
찌르게 패주지.
칼날이 잘 드네요. 아마 그 공격이 약점이었겠죠? 감동적이지 않을 수 없네. 왜 이런 표정이지? 어디 보자. 적들이 흔들흔들.
찌르게 패주지.
그대들 기억하고 있지 않을까?
즉시 사라지리라. 그것이 세상이라. 그것이 곧나 너는 즉시 사라지리라. 그것이 세상이라. 그것이 곧나 이리라. 너는 즉시 사라지리라. 그것이 세상이라. 그것이 곧나 이리라.
직원들이 배틀을 지원하는 데 성공했어요.
해주지. 그것이 세상이라 그것이 곧 일이라 너는 즉시 성질이라 그것이 세상이라 그것이 곧 일이라 너는 즉시 성질이라 그것이 세상이라 그것이 곧 일이라
저희 직원들이 개체의 부위를 포기했어요. 역시 미륵연합을 잘했죠?
너는 즉시 성질이라 그것이 세상이라 그것이 곧 일이라
괜찮은 공격이야. 앞으로도 그렇게 해주세요.
해주지
종이 하나가 끊어졌네요. 이제 좀 수월해지겠어요. 무얼 잘못했는지 아는 것부터가 시작이겠어. 상당히 강요 전개를 잘했어.
해주지
힘 좀 더 써봤어.
And that's how I soloed Mirror Dungeon 4 hard using only Sunshower Heathcliff. He truly is the man with the most potential, and in my personal opinion, the single strongest solo identity in the game. He's absolutely dependent on his passive being active, but man is he so fun to play with. There's something just so satisfying about being nearly unkillable and corroding every other turn. It really makes it feel like you're piloting an actual boss character. Anyway, that's it from me. Like and subscribe to not miss next time where we'll be using this character. Goodbye!